Yo, what's going on, everyone? It's Chase. Let's mark up some relevant levels on BTC and ETH, see what we got coming up. Before we get into that, quick shout out PrimeXBT. If you use my link, promo code, you get a 50% deposit bonus on your BTC. All right, let's go. So first thing we want to say before we get into any of this is that there's that big Fed meeting today or whatever. If they change interest rates or something crazy like that, which I don't think anyone's really expecting, but if they do happen to do that, all this stuff is probably out the window, and I'll probably just stay flat. Outside of that, I'm currently flat at the moment. I'll sort of give some context as to what's been going on, and then we'll get into the fresh stuff. So obviously we had this long consolidation breakout once we tested the highs multiple times. Consolidation, breakdown. Obviously at that point it's bearish. When you fill in a basically this was supposed to be like a breakaway gap, but when you fill in an inefficiency like that immediately, that's typically pretty bearish. So we can see once this level that led to the breakout, sort of the origin of impulse here, once that broke down, we broke through there, bearish retest. That was a clean short. Didn't grab that one. I'm not sure if I wasn't awake or what happened, but yeah, I didn't grab that one. But I think it was pretty obvious in hindsight. So moving from there, then we put in a low, so we'll mark out that low real quick. At the same time, we were running these lows from the left side here, but we never ran them all yet. And then we bounced off this support level right here. We could see we had consolidation, and this is what began that up move, right? So this began our up move. This is where we ran into support. And now if we were to drop lower, we have our next level of untested demand, which is right here. And this is where I'll most likely look to be a buyer. In what situation? Here's what I could foresee possibly, and this is just a sort of a wild prediction, right? But say the markets start to panic up towards the Fed speech today or whatever, and we start to break down. We're breaking down. Hold on, there we go. So yeah, say we have the Fed speech today, and we start to break down. And everyone's just waiting for him to say something. We get in here, we bounce real quick, it's not going well, we drop below, flip this to resistance, and then we hit here, and then the speech is over, but nothing has changed, right? Interest rates remaining the same, all those type of things. I'm not some type of macro or FA specialist or anything, so I'm just going to keep it at that basically. But if there's no major changes to interest rates, liquidity injections, all those things, then and we're at here, I'm probably definitely going to look to be a buyer, because we could see the confluence on the left here, right? So it's basically the origin of this breakout, and then we had support, resistance, and now we have this first area of untapped demand, right? Because it's never been retested. That's what I mean when I say untapped demand, okay? We break out from here. This level never gets retested. That is fresh, untested demand right there. So we come down, the speech ends, we're at this level. I'm most likely looking to be a buyer. Now, there's always the possibility I'm not going to roll a super tight stop there, because we know a lot of the times what happens at these major levels. You get a push into the major level, you get a bounce, everyone gets all giddy, and then you get a quick deviation, and then you move, right? So that definitely happens, and you want to make sure that you're playing with a stop that allows for a little bit of manipulation, deviation. We've talked about that before, okay? Let's see, anything else? I talked about on Twitter yesterday, I talked about running these highs, these equal highs. We did that. So right there, we had equal highs. We ran those. I was long off of right here, like 53.7. Yep. I did not expect it. If we're really digging down into levels here, because that's like what I really enjoy to do, is always try to have the perfect quote unquote level. I didn't necessarily foresee this going down to 53.2. I had it at 53.7 because I saw sort of this was the consolidation, and then it broke out from here and broke this resistance level. So slightly off there, right? But I got in at 53.7. My target was obviously liquidity, right? Because when you wiped out liquidity, you're into untested demand here. And then we bounced off that. You have to target liquidity at that point. I did end up taking profit right in here because I wanted to go to sleep. So I took profit right in there at about 56.7 or so. And then eventually we did get the sweep of the highs, but I wanted to go to sleep, and I was sitting in this position all day from here, and it went up, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna get my fill right away, or I'm gonna hit my take profit right away. And then we retraced all the way. I was like, oh man, you got to be kidding me. It's just that type of thing, right? It was starting to play with my patience, but if you follow me on Twitter, and you saw how everything was going, you knew that I was very confident about it moving. I had made multiple tweets about just drawing lines basically up towards around 57, 57.5, and eventually we did get this wick in here towards about 57.2. I did take a short off that because of the equal highs. Quick short. I closed it quite prematurely. I just wanted it to like right here to this high. I got out there. That was basically all automated overnight. I didn't do really much about that. Okay, so now, like I said, really just watching this level. If we get down there and we bounce off that level, we watch for that. We watch for the run of the low, and then once we flip the white box back to support, I would suspect at that point that we should be moving up higher, possibly somewhere around 58K. Okay, so that's Bitcoin. And on the downside, if we do break down below here, I don't think it's the end of the world, but I don't think it's pretty for the short term. We'll probably, deviate, and be down here for a bit, maybe something along these lines, something like this, blah, 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 and then get back in and go. But that would be how I see it, unless something drastically changed from like a fundamental point of view. You know what I've been saying, like I was saying before. Okay, let's move on to ETH. I wanted to talk about this real quick. A lot of people ask me, what does this mean when I draw this with the entry trigger? So what it means basically is, say you have price action in here, you got resistance, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so I draw this and I'm like, well, if this level flips to support, then this is your entry trigger, right? You see me draw that stuff all the time. So what it means is basically you're looking for this resistance to flip to support, okay? But you're also not looking to have like a swing failure pattern or something of that nature, right? So watch. Because what can happen is you can come up and you can SFP this level and you could just come back down, okay? Now that doesn't mean I wanted you to buy right there. That's not what it is. What it means is that you would come up, and even if you SFP this and now you see this starting to prove as support, okay? You're watching that and you're like, okay, well, this is proving as support, but you don't know that it's support yet, okay? You don't buy yet because it could bounce, it could break down. What you want is you want to see this high taken out. And at that point, you enter in here, okay? And your stop is simply below this consolidation level right here, okay? So that's what I mean by that. Hopefully that helps. Okay, let's move into ETH. Let's take a look here. ETH, I was surprised last night. I expected ETH to, bounce towards 1850 when BTC went towards 57K. It did not, and that was basically the first sign that we were still not strong yet. And that's why I took that short on the SFP. When I was looking at ETH and I was like, so ETH's not even showing any strength right now. We just SFP'd this level that I've been waiting for basically the whole day to tag. That's why I took that short there. And then from here, looking at ETH, 1850 to me looks like a short. You wipe out all this liquidity into basically untested resistance right here. Stop on that one would probably have to be decently wide. Also, again, keep in mind with these major levels of confluence, basically, right? You got a lot of confluence here. You got the previous high, then you put in support, break down, and now you have untested resistance right in here. Typically what you get in these type of situations, sometimes you get a tap, just like I showed you on the downside, right? How I showed you that. Sometimes you get a tap, and then you get a quick deviation, and then you drop. And the reason is that most of the time you have a bunch of amateur and beginner traders and whatnot, and they either take the short right off the level with a very tight stop because they're greedy, or put the stop like here if they're being super greedy, and then they get wicked out just like that. Or you also have your traders to where they get their entry, and say they had their stop like up here. This would be like a less greedy stop. Say they had their stop up here, right? And they get their entry, right? And it starts to break down and they go, okay, I'm good. And they move their stop from here to here. And then it comes back up boom, wipes them out, and then it drops. Okay, so keep that stuff in mind. That sometimes you do get deviations at these levels. I'll be watching 1850 for a potential short. I'll see how the reaction goes. I maybe start 50% short, just blind short. You know what I'm saying? Just have limit ask right there, and then see if it comes up for a second go. On the second go, you can look for a bearish divergence or something, right? You'll see that, and on the RSI, you'll see a peak and then a lower peak, and that means that well, not means that but most likely that you're going to get a retracement off there because you have your untested resistance. You're pushing into the level. You're getting that sort of manipulation I just talked about, and you have an RSI div. Now you have like 3 to 4 levels of confluence. That's a good short. Okay, hopefully that helps, that explanation there. As far as ETH goes, where I'm looking to buy, I was looking to buy around 1690. I got front run on this wick, so I never got in there because that would have been a really good move because you took that 1690 and what'd you do? You aimed for the liquidity right here, just like you aimed for the liquidity on BTC. It took longer to get to it on BTC. This one literally just ran and immediately went to it, and that's why I thought ETH was stronger, but now apparently it's proving that it's not really much stronger and it's just chopping like a lot of the alts are. Okay, so I'm definitely watching 1681. We could see that as, an SR flip, basically. Resistance before the breakout right here. This white box we have. This would be our current, I believe. Let's just double check. Yep, and this is our current untested support. We never came back here. So we broke out from here, begins this uptrend, never retests it. That means that I think that 1680 should provide some type of support on the way down. And worst case scenario with these is often, it's not to be, this can go one of two ways, right? You can be weak-handed and you can give up a really good entry. But at the same time, if it comes down and you get a bounce and you're like, it reclaimed, but it's not looking good. Now all of a sudden, this flips to resistance and it's not looking good. Worst case scenario is you can get out probably in profit or break even on these major levels. Okay, a lot of people talk about crowded trades. Oh, it's a crowded trade. Yeah, it doesn't matter really how crowded it is. Most of the time, a level like this that has all this confluence, you're going to get some kind of a bounce. Okay, so as long as you can manage it properly, and unless try not to get shaken out if you really think it's a good level to be in for a longer swing trade. But at worst case scenario, my point is you typically get a bounce. It's very unlikely that you're going to just knife through butter on a move like that, unless there's some very fundamental news or something where sometimes you just get extreme pressure on the level and you drop through. That can happen. Keep an eye out for that. Okay, we covered BTC, we covered ETH, we covered the little box thing flipping to support. I think that's everything. Hopefully this is helpful. Chase_NL on Twitter. Check out Prime XBT, the sponsor of this video. Thank you very much, everybody, and have a great day.